This episode of the Coarse podcast has been brought to you by Central Sports and Graphics Incorporated, family-owned and operated screen printing and embroidery business located in a historic storefront on Old Berwick Road in the heart of Espy. They've been doing screen printing for over 20 years. They have high-quality product at a low price. Be sure to check them out. Central Sports and Graphics Incorporated, 570-784-1212. Now, on to the show.
Hi, this is Chef Rick Moonen. We're listening to Shawn Rosler on Coarse Grind. Come and listen in. Get a few tips.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Episode number 168 of the Coarse Grind podcast. With you as always this evening, host creator Shawn Rosler. How's everyone doing this evening? Almost as if I was inspired by the last episode. And folks, if you want to go back and listen, it was Gloria Chabot. Yes, that Gloria from Food Network's Carl Ruiz. I recently found myself in what can only be described as truly the middle of nowhere. I don't say that disparagingly, I say that lovingly, as I myself came from the middle of nowhere. My wife and I, on a day trip, sans kids, amazing, right? Found ourselves out listening to live music, also amazing, at the local hard cider mill, Colonel Ricketts, in case you're interested. And as hard cider in the middle of the country, in the middle of the day does, it had us starving, if a bit, shall we say, relaxed. We had heard recently of a place outside the bustling metropolis of Benton, if you know Benton, you get the joke, called Jamison City, and therein was a hotel, that was a restaurant, that was a lounge. The rest, as they say, is history, complete with me hugging one of the folks there over the greatest cheesesteak I've ever eaten, sorry about that, and I only wish that the Cuban himself, Chef Carl Ruiz, could have been along for the ride, as he would have fallen for this place the same hard way that I did. The Jamison City Hotel, nestled in, you guessed it, Jamison City, could be missed. Easily, I might add. Get the address in your phone before you're within 3 or 4 miles, because unless you're on satellite, you'll have to rely on buffering signal to get you there. But when you find it, when we found it, I knew instantly that the place was special, unassuming, dare I say cute, in a middle of God's country way. I could hear the live music as I got out of the car. Walking in, we were not only greeted, but the young host, whose name eludes me at the moment, and I'm sure our guests will remind me, was there at every single possible turn, checking on us, making sure we were good. Drink food later. As I said, I was in love, absolute love. And isn't that the way with places like this? The building was actually once a restaurant drugstore that met a fiery fate in '83, only to be remodeled and inspired as the hotel we visited. Oh, and the Copper Penny Lounge, that's because every bar in the place has pennies from 1983 on it, uncirculated no less. That's pretty badass. Owned by the Boyle family members since, it now finds itself in the capable hands of its current owners, husband and wife, who were kind enough to accept my offer for an interview. And again, one of them, at least, was certainly kind enough to humor my culinary enthusiasm. I hope I didn't squeeze you too tightly, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between. The owners of the Jamison City Hotel and Copper Penny Lounge, Andy and Jody Boyle. Folks, how are we doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
Oh, fantastic. I'm still working off that cheesesteak. I'll have you both know. And I want to get there. I want to talk more about the cheesesteak, but I want to tell the story about how you got here, how it's been in the family, and so on. So for folks new to the show, folks with terrible short-term memories, like yours truly, starters, mains, and afters, starters will talk to the guest in question about how they got to where they're at. Mains will talk about where they're at and what they're doing. And finally, afters, a little bit more irreverent, a little bit more off the cuff, but no one has been seriously injured for the past 167 episodes, so I don't foresee that happening tonight. So without further ado, and I'm going to ask you both, because, you know, when you get married, you're just one person, aren't you? I laugh because I choose not to cry. Anyway, I'll ask you both, and you can take it where you will. Tell the listeners about where you two grew up eating and what you grew up eating. Talk to me about that.
I grew up in a big family, so my mom there was 8 of us, and that's more or less where cooking part comes in.
Yeah.
He grew up in Cleveland.
I grew up in Freeland, Minerville.
Yep.
with a big family where we would get together every Sunday and have dinner at my great-grandmother's and my grandmother's house.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, I just fell in love with food. That's why I fell in love with my wife.
Oh, you see that, Jody, be good to him. Be nice to him. So isn't that the way though? You know, my wife and I have a similar bond in that way. You know, I wonder what foods the two of you kind of remember coming up with and coming up on.
Mine was like Slovak, so it was Halushki, Babolki, Sidek, Kapasi. It was a lot of comfort foods growing up.
Absolutely. And just to translate for folks, because we're from PA, we get it. Can you remind the listeners, at the very least, what Halushki is? And there was another one in there I know that trips people up, but Halushki is?
So Halushki is potatoes boiled in water, and then they add butter, salt, and cabbage and fry it. Basically, it was a poor family's meal. Basically, what you did is it was leftover mashed potatoes from a meal from before, and then they would actually make it into another meal. So a lot of where I'm from, a lot of potatoes were used in stove rags and stuff like that. It's just a lot of homemade comfort food to spread through a family of 20 to 30 people.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Now, how about you, Jody? What specific dishes do you recall looking back?
Mine is the same. It's like home cooking. My mom went anywhere from Italian food to German food. Like, it was just a mixture of everything. And, you know, just watching her with the talent of not having to measure anything out. It was whatever she threw together. It was always awesome. You know.
Yeah. I do think, and I would love to hear your thoughts. I do think sometimes the cookbook is too much with us. And the instinct has long since left the building. And I love when I can see that instinct in people. I love when I see it in my own kids who are not exactly strangers to the kitchen, 13 and 11 respectively. Hell, my 8-year-old tries to make his omelet in the morning. So he does have that going for him. And I don't see him measuring too much. So I think the future is going to be in good hands. But, you know, back to, so your upbringing, we have this cool, you know, we kind of know it as a typical Pennsylvanian upbringing, range of cuisine, Slovak, Italian, German, Polish, like this whole range, like we're all kind of accustomed to. A lot of my friends from around the area are like, wait, what? I have to ask, because clearly you're now in the business, but when you were kids, were you picky eaters, or did you pretty much eat whatever was put in front of you?
I was very picky.
I ate whatever was put in front of me. That's the way we were raised. My mom always made me something special.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Now, Andy, I'm not sure if you missed that, but Jody just said she was very picky, so you should feel very special. I just want you to know that.
I am.
That's on record now. If you had to look back, and this is a fun like exercise I love to play with people, especially people who aren't of the culinary ilk. Say maybe as like restaurant owners would be. For me, I can think back to certain specific dishes that create almost like a long lost love ache for me. I wonder if there's a dish or two that, you know, you still long for today. Maybe you can't make it anymore. Maybe you try to recreate it and it just isn't it. What's a childhood dish that calls out to you from the past?
Mine is, my mom always made this beef tips with gravy over. That's probably the all-time. If I make it here, people go crazy over it. So we always had it with it's weird, but we always had it with red cabbage and creamed cauliflower. Like, that was the meal that we always had. And I think, matter of fact, I introduced it to my husband, and he was like, that's disgusting. I'm not eating that. And now that's one of his favorite meals. So
That's amazing.
I would have to say my favorite would be a little bit simpler. It was my grandmother's homemade bread, which I failed tremendously making. Matter of fact, for work one day, and my wife used it as a doorstop to hold the door open.
Oh goodness, that did not go well. Then that did not go well. But it's so funny that you try to recreate it, and I mean, clearly, Andy, you know, you're the guy, you know, there on the line in the kitchen, and for bread, like we think of bread so simplistically, and yet to make good bread is more of an art than a science.
Yes. It is. I like to bake, and it's one of the things that I do well. But as far as the cooking, my wife holds the trophy to that.
Wow. God, look at this back and forth mutual. This, honestly, guys, if you ever fight, I want you to play this again. And just like listen to it. And that's it.
You never sat in the kitchen with us.
We work together on the weekends mostly in the kitchen, so
there
I
you
guess
go. Yeah, there you go. All right, so you both end up in food. You both end up in this industry. You had to have had somebody growing up who was your like culinary lightning rod, your cooking inspiration, and I wonder who that was for each of you. Who was it that you drew the most inspiration from there?
Mine is my mom. Like, she just amazed me. She could take something, because we grew up where we didn't have much, so she could take the littlest thing and then turn it into, like, there's dishes that I think about that it was so simple, but now you miss them. You know, you'd love to have them again. Of course, she's not with us anymore, so you miss those kind of things, but it was probably her all along.
Yeah. That's awesome. How about you, Andy?
You're going to laugh, but I'm not sucking up, but I'm going to have to say my wife.
Look at this! Jody! Jody! You gotta keep her, man! You gotta keep her!
I've been in business my entire life, but as far as all I've done is ever eat it, but to watch somebody actually put love into every dish that goes out of the kitchen, I've seen nothing more than spectacular from my wife.
That's spectacular. I guarantee you, folks listening at home, you want to see the doe-eyed look they're giving each other right now. Like, I honestly, or Jody gave him the riot act before getting on. Now listen, you're gonna be nice to me, or so help me God, when that phone hangs up. No, I like to believe the first option.
I'll tell you a story on how we met later on in the podcast.
Yeah. Okay. So actually turning in, because I have to imagine this is somehow gonna play into it. I wonder when, and I know it's a family thing, but there has to be more to it, I'm sure. When was the moment you knew that like food went beyond just being a point A to point B thing, that you wanted to be in this industry, doing this art, giving your life to what I believe, and my show has believed for years to be like the highest art form to me is food, is caring for somebody enough to cook them a meal. When was it you decided that was going to be your life's mission?
That's your answer
Honestly,
first.
I started here when I was 16, so I was just coming here to fill in for a couple of days because they were short of help, and my brother had worked here. So I was like, sure, I'll do it. And I was only 16, and at the time you were supposed to be 18 to wait on tables, so I had to lie a little.
Okay.
And I worked that weekend, and then the next thing you know, they were like, well, do you want to stay on? And I stayed on, and then my mom kind of joined in it, and my brother wound up buying the place, and then it was me and my mom bought the place off of him, and it just went on, so now it's my husband and I.
Cool.
So
that's amazing. I mean, and so different from so many of the stories I get to tell here, because, most of the people don't have it in their family. But then to have it in your family and to choose it is really reaffirming that, yes, I am this crazy. This is what I want to do with my life. Andy, how did you come into it, man?
Well, I kind of inherited this, so I'm gonna I'll explain that more as we go on. But I actually was in 2000. I found out my wife was purchasing a bar. And knew nothing about it. I'll tell you more about it as the story gets more in depth. But long story short, the reason I'm in food, I've been with Giant and Wise for well over 20-some years.
Okay.
I just recently left that to be more involved in the hotel with my wife. So, I've been doing it back and forth, but it's gotten to the point where we decided to sell our house, invest everything we own to take a leap into something that we believe makes people happy.
Man, that's amazing. And it's I would love to say it's an all too uncommon thing, but there's such a dedication to this. That God, at least you guys are married and not business partners. You know what I mean? Just like casual business partners. because the dedication is so high up there. So now I have to know, you've kind of whet my appetite. How did the Andy and Jody show come to be? Now I've got to know this, Andy, or Jody, whoever wants to tell it. God knows, Andy, if you tell it, Jody will correct you. I want to go on record. I'm married 20 years now, and I know that.
So back in 1999, we had some mutual friends that had cabin up here, and we, for about a year before that, they wanted us to meet, and we both told them no. Mm-hmm. We didn't want nothing to do with us. We both got out of some bad relationships. Didn't want anything as far as dating, and finally I broke down one day, and I said, yeah, I'll come up and I'll come to the cabin and meet
with another girl. Get it right.
So, with that being said, I came up. I spent a week up here in June of '99, and she was bartending. I walked in. The first thing I said was, "Can I have a Coarse Light?" And Bug Hoffman, who was a friend of ours, introduced us, and that was pretty much the talk that we did. It was just, "Can I have another beer or order wings?"
Yeah.
I ordered a lot of wings.
As I'm getting dirty looks from this other girl.
It was just friends. There was no dating.
Right.
But I didn't want to be a fifth wheel, so I brought a friend of mine up that I used to work with, and apparently she had other ideas, and I didn't. But to make a long story short, we wound up talking a little bit, and I fell in love with her at first sight, and I wound up coming back up pretty much every week after that. And one thing led to another one night, and she said, "Would you like to stay?" And I said, "Sure." And we watched the sunrise, and going out the door, she asked me if I wanted to kiss her, and I did.
I love it. That's great.
And then 3 months later, we moved in together, and we've been together ever since. So we've been together since 1999. God
damn. Okay. That makes me feel so good, because my wife and I, our first date was April 8, 2001. I bought the engagement ring a month later. We were engaged 3 months later on her 21st birthday. And people are always like, "Oh, that's crazy. Why would you do that?" No. You know what? Now, Andy and Jody, we have a thing. We have a connection there. Because when you know, it's that simple. For sure.
And the funny thing is, no matter what kind of argument, what kind of fight, disagreement, whatever, at the end of the day,
he knows I'm right.
Yep.
Goddamn right. See, I didn't bat an eye at that. I knew what was coming too. Just awesome. So
that's the best way a marriage works.
Yeah, that is. My father-in-law tells me something. He says, "Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy?" And I kind of go with that. I do kind of go with that. So, fast forward 2021, random podcast host comes in and experiences, and this is where I believe food as story exists, because there was love on that plate. There was love in that restaurant that you can't deny. And I want to go back for a minute. I really want to very specifically and very intentionally call out your young host that was there. Because in this industry, I believe, we talk about the four senses of taste, 5 if you count umami. I believe that the 6th is service. I believe that service has a taste, has an impact on the taste of your meal. And the young gentleman, again, whose name eludes me, I'm sure you know his name.
Cohen.
I'm sorry?
His name is Cohen.
Cohen, that's right. Cohen, because I thought of the Cohen brothers when he told me. This gentleman, and Cohen, I hope you're listening. And if you're not, that's okay too. That's pretty much everybody's story. Nobody listens to it anyway. Cohen, you made our meal go from exquisite to perfect. And here's how you did that, sir. You did that by likely listening and following the example of Andy and Jody, of being just like humans who are in this industry to truly make people happy. But you went above and beyond, and you made us feel at home, and you made us feel so welcome in a place we had never been before. So, buddy, if you're listening, thank you for that. Now, camera back to Jody and Andy. You made this environment. This hotel, this restaurant, this lounge was so cool in the middle of nowhere. As I mentioned, I gotta wonder, okay, present iteration, the way it is today, how did you take it from what it is to what it was? Talk to me about when you first came into it and where you have it now, and like all the changes and why you made them.
We kind of went from, honest with the food, we went from
a bar to a restaurant.
Yeah.
Got it.
Like, before it was like the bar, we always focused on the bar and the bar food, and then we were like, let's take it to the other side and try the restaurant and make it more of a restaurant bar, if you understand what we're saying.
Yep. So it's a restaurant with a bar, not a bar with a restaurant.
Correct.
Yep.
And we feel like what we hope we've been doing is we want you to feel like if you brought your children here, you would feel comfortable. You know, it's like we want it to be more of a family kind of feeling.
Yeah.
We wanted you to feel like you're sitting in our house.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're sitting at our dining room table with our family, and people are throwing bread back and forth and having fun and laughing and overeating and enjoying themselves and indulging and trying different things and just carrying on a conversation with people that maybe you've never seen, but yet you've seen somebody smile at you from across the room or the table next to you. We're trying to go to a different level that big businesses are trying to push people out to, where we're trying to get you to come and stay with us.
Yeah. It gets into the concept of the table turners. Folks at home, you know, who haven't bus tables or waited tables, you know, you're watching like a hawk. You go over, you start to ask them every minute at the half hour point. Can I get you anything else? Can I get you anything else? Until you basically annoy them out the door. And they go. That's just not the way to be. And I love hearing that, because I have to imagine this is a hard industry to be that, dare I say, sentimental in. I imagine that doesn't always serve you well as a mission statement.
Actually, I think that's what's growing our business.
Nice.
People are really, it's not about the almighty dollar. It's more about people being able to come to a place to actually feel good.
I love that.
And the feeling of, like, when I came out to talk, like, for instance, when I came out, because every once in a while we get a break from the kitchen, one of us tries to go out and see, you know, the customers and how was everything, you know, and just to get their feedback and just to be able to, like, even to talk to you, and you were like, that was amazing.
And I've been at Tito's and Pat's.
But that feeling inside, it's like the feeling that I get is that's my way of making people happy through their stomachs and enjoyment that way, then that makes me feel wonderful, if you understand that.
Oh, I totally do. You know, I was never formally trained, but I've done some miles on the line. I've done some demo kitchens. I've done some live events, and you know, me being, you know, the food journalist, I'll call myself that I am. You know, obviously Tony Bourdain, Carl Ruiz, these two names meant a lot to me. And it's funny, I did just talk to Gloria, and if you go back and you listen, Chef Carl, even when he was on Food Network, on XM Radio, and all these things, like, if Carl cooked for you, he would just sit there and wait and watch you. Yeah. And watch for the reaction. It didn't matter how big the britches got. Tony Bourdain was the same way. He would watch you, anticipatorily waiting for that hit. You know, my own food, when I cook for my own family, like, I wait. I don't even care if I eat at that point. And I got to imagine you guys are in the same boat. Like the food's like, all right, I'm going to eat it. It's fine. Everyone's going, this is amazing. You know, like, fine. I cooked it. It tastes different. You know what I mean? But just seeing that amazement, seeing that pleasure on people's faces, that really, you know, and I think what a great story to hear that you folks are doing that with your place. 'Cause it's very easy, to your point, Andy, to, you know, to turn it turnstile. Like, let's get people in, get people out. How many covers can we do a night?
Right. Yeah, it's not about that. It's about trying to make sure everybody that comes through that door is happy. Our biggest critic is our customers, and we take it to heart. We want to hear whether we didn't turn something out right, or it was a complete failure, and what can we do to change it? And a lot of the changes that are in here are because of the people. from stools to tables to decor, what they want. I mean, we did questionnaires for a while where people filled out and rated what we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about just taking a bad situation and saying, well, I don't want to see that. It's about, okay, why did they, why did they feel that way, and what can we do to change that? And, hey, we reach out to people when they say, hey, I had a bad experience, and, well, what was it, and what can I do? And if you give me another chance, I guarantee you we'll correct it. It's just the business that we chose. I mean, we sunk everything from our heart to our kids' lives. I mean, we have 4 kids that were raised around this, and their childhood was a little rough.
Yeah.
And we gave up a lot, but at the end of the day, we feel like we can succeed at what we're doing, and the more we keep hearing people like you and everybody else that talks to us, we feel like we're going in the right direction.
I'll tell you what, anybody listening to this, and I know that I have, a pretty big culinary student audience and others like that, but I'm going to talk for a minute to the culinary students. If you're a CIA, Hyde Park, if whatever institute you're at right now, I want you to listen as much as you want to listen to the 3 Michelin star chefs on what a perfect foam is. Stop listening to that and listen to this. Play this episode on repeat and listen to what a real restaurant means. Because without it, you're not going to get to that foam, or you'll have that foam for 6 months and you'll go under. You have to have that respect for your audience, for your craft, for your public that you're bringing your craft to. And God, if it is not, I had an expectation, I have to tell you both, I had an expectation of, what we talk about and how passionate you would be. And I thought you would be pretty strong, passionate. You've blown it away. And that just speaks volumes to the quality of the meal we had there. I mean, just exquisite. But I want to turn real quick, because you not only have a restaurant, but you have this Copper Penny Lounge. Talk to me about the balancing act as bar and restaurant owners, because do they operate as, truly separate entities, or do they all kind of go in the same coffer, or is there some mix of the two?
We run it as a complete building. Okay. Our dining room and our bar have the same rules and regulations as far as what goes out, what comes in. We ask the customers to respect the people in the dining room. We also ask the band to respect the customers. It's ran as a family business. If they cannot respect the fact that we have children in here, we do not ask them to return. It's not to the point where it's focused on a complete package. We've got it to the point where the quality has to be the same, whether it's in a bar, in a boat, served in a different manner versus on a plate. Even our patio, the food has to go out the same way in a to-go container that it would in an actual dinner plate. And it's 3 people that work in the kitchen in a line that are constantly reminding each other, hey, this doesn't look right, fix it. This needs to be done. And I am a stickler. And my wife is the boss. If it doesn't go right, we got to...
He gets upset with me because he realizes I want it my way, and it's supposed to look that way. I don't want you to the next time and say, well, I didn't have it like that.
Exactly. I don't know. So maybe we have to get Michelin to the Jamison City and, get a star up on your wall. Because if Jody's at the pass expediting and making sure shit's tight, I think you're in good shape. I think you could get a star. I'm just going to put that out there. Michelin, if you're listening, visit them. Go give them a star, damn it. So
our staff is a lot to do with it. Like, without our staff, we wouldn't be. Our bartending staff, our bartending staff, our waitress staff, our cook staff, and our dishwashing staff, we meet every Wednesday for a meeting, and we talk about what went well, what didn't go, what we can do better, and what upcoming events or specials or bands or equipment or what we can improve on the equipment. We just had a meeting today, and we're going to make some changes to our POS system to make things easier and quicker. And we just constantly every week change things up.
Them time to vent. If they have something that they have a problem with us, we want them to be truthful. We don't want them to go behind our backs and say, oh, you know what she said? Tell me. If I made you mad right now, just tell me,
Yeah.
They have just as much to say in what we do here as we do. I mean, it's ran as a family. And we've had anywhere from 7 years employment to...
He just celebrated her 3rd year with us.
Our bartender just celebrated 3 years with us.
Wow. See? And I mean, that's not a common thing in the industry. People, this is a turnover heavy industry. Chefs bounce from joint to joint every 6 months sometimes, just to get a new place. But to have that longevity means you're definitely, like, I already know you're doing something right because I was there. Speaking of doing something right, we talked about the restaurant itself. We talked about the bar. The menu, where's it coming from? Where are you pulling that from? Has that been kind of passed down through the years, or is that something you work collaboratively on in kind of more of like an active phase, like constantly?
Honestly, the menu has been a struggle, like, from day one, because it was one way, and we tried to stay that way for a while, but people like change. So you try and, it's like, we've changed it so much, but with COVID going on, that's downsized because we have a hard time still to this day getting stuff.
Yeah.
So we kind of downsized it, but what we did was we took the most popular things that everybody asked for, and that's what we have on there. And then on weekends,
we just honed in the craft of the things that are on the menu. So we turned up the heat a little bit, made things a little bit more spicier and more enticing. And we went away from the prime rib cheesesteak, and we come back to
COVID.
I started off at 163 pounds. I'm 240. I'm not ashamed of it. And my wife, it's all from her. I've been her guinea pig since day one.
That's awesome. So, all right. So I got to breach this then. Speaking of the menu, I have to give you the truest and most honest WTF moment I've had with my wife dining out in a while. And I think you probably know already that I'm going to talk about the burger section. And I'm going to go to 2 specific burgers. The one with peanut butter, and then the one with peanut butter and jelly, was it?
Yeah.
It's peanut butter, jelly, and jalapenos, and bacon, and cheese.
So I'm not going to lie. I almost caved and said, you know what? I'm here. The ambulance won't be able to get me out here in time. I'm going to die if it's that good. And I backed away from it. I think I chickened out. I think I have to do it next time. I acknowledge that. I don't know what question to ask here. How high was the person that came up with it? Because it really is like so much a Cheech and Chong concept. I'm like, who was the guy that did that? And yet, it is brilliant. Because as I sat there with it and I thought about it, my wife got up to go to the bathroom. I kept going back to it. And I'm like, but it's gotta be good, man. It's gotta be good. Where did that come from? Where did those 2 concepts come from?
Well, we started with the sticky burger, just because of the sweet and salty, which my whole family loves stuff like that. So we were experimenting with that. Then my husband likes the spiciness. So him and our other bartender, JR, we sat one night and I just kept, how about the jelly? How about it? So then we just kind of put it all together, and they were like, no, it needs something spicy. So that's where the jalapenos came in, and we call it the sticky burger.
That's so crazy.
Burgers are our biggest sellers for our burgers, and it used to be our copper penny burger was our biggest, and now those 2 went they surpassed that.
I make the challenge all the time. If you don't like it,
that's amazing. I mean, it's really, and that's the kind of stuff, like, it's not like I don't go into restaurants on a regular basis. It's not like I don't, eat stuff constantly. I mean, look at me, I'm a mess. But for that to stick with me, and I just saw a Jamison City pint glass, and I'm kicking myself in the ass now for not getting one before I left. I'll make that up on the next time I come in. But like what's that, bud?
The greatest thing about that JR Sticky Burger is when you're done, the jelly's ran down into the plate, you can top it up with your French fries and the peanut butter. I mean, it's phenomenal. It's just got the right amount of heat, and it's a mess to eat, but it's great.
See, I love that. I love that. And again, I'm going to turn the focus to the culinary students listening. You know, when you see that kind of unflinching, and unflinching's, I think, the right word here, unflinching cavalierism in an industry that's jaded, like everybody wants to know. Like, I just had a Nashville hot chicken sandwich with some beers for dinner. Was it good? Sure. Will I remember that? Absolutely goddamn not. I won't. Here's what I can tell you I remember. A cheesesteak made the way, and I'm watching the guy smear peanut butter on the bun right now. That's savagery, and I love it. And now I'm like, no, I gotta go back, because if I can remember the cheesesteak still now, imagine what that's gonna be like. God, the burgers are just insane. So obviously your burgers sell. Obviously the menu, I think the menu's in a great place now. I wonder, and I have to ask, as you dial all this in over the years, you know, is it the sticky and the stickier burger that's your greatest creation, or was there something better that you made? Like, what is your greatest Jamison City order ever?
Our chef, everybody always says
her soups are phenomenal. They're all homemade from scratch. Nothing out of a bag, nothing out of a can.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody buys them and takes pints home and asks for gallons, and it's just...
But that's not, I think our biggest seller, and I don't think it, I know it, is our prime rib. And we do it different than everyone else, because most places, they will slow roast the whole thing, and there's only so many rare, so many medium rare, so many well done, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So we do ours cooked at order, and it's done a special way, but I can't really say how we do it.
Yes, we're getting into covert knowledge here. Okay, all right, I got you.
And our au jus is my mom's recipe. Like, I learned it from my mom, and she just mixed up this au jus, and that's what we use for it. And some people want to take it just to drink it, they say. So, and that's what your cheesesteak was cooked in too, because I pour that over that when I'm cooking the cheesesteak.
Okay.
Actually, the prime rib sliced down. It's everything is cut fresh daily.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Now, okay. So here I am sitting here, fat, bloated from dinner, and I just heard that, and literally my saliva just gushed. I'm like, wait a minute. You did what with what? Because I knew there was something. I think I said to my wife, I'm like, they either doused this in broth or something. Because it was too juicy for words. There's no way you're doing that with a cheesesteak in a standard preparation. And now that I know that, God, that makes sense, but it doesn't make it any less amazing. Got to ask you then, kind of in comparison. You know, obviously, you two have been at it for a while. What's been the biggest bomb? What was the biggest fumble over the years as a dish? Was there one? The correct answer, Andy, is Jody would never let that happen. Anyway, go ahead.
There's really not. What we thought would go good was salmon.
Yeah, we've been trying to introduce like fresher seafood, like fresh tuna, fresh salmon, fresh pollock.
But it's funny because they're more into our scallops, and it's like certain seafoods, and we really thought that
stuffed flounder is phenomenal.
Like, we can't keep that in stock usually.
No, and I make it so I'm a butcher by trade.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been a seafood manager. I've been a store manager for years. So, so that's how I got into culinary and prepping. So, like, I've done all of her steaks. She knows how to cut meat now.
Oh, nice.
She cuts and all that. Like I said, when I say we prep.
Nice.
Every day. Everything is made fresh. We don't freeze stuff. It has to be used. We run specials.
And I think, like, even with that, like, my soup, it's like, I only make so much, and once it's gone, then we'll go on to the next one, you know. It's never, this is the soup of the week, you know. It's
when we make baked potatoes, our staff knows that they only have 20 or 40 to sell. When we cut prime rib, they know how much prime rib they're actually going to be selling. When we do porterhouse, and we do cowboy steaks and fillets and lobsters and everything we do, they all know that it's X, Y, and Z on Friday, it's X, Y, and Z on Saturday, it's X, Y, and Z on Sunday. So, and the food prep is basically what I think is growing our business, it's because it's fresh. It's genuine.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, there again, it goes back to the love that goes in. People can taste that. And again, I'll tilt the camera back to the culinary students. Hey, it's really easy to call up Cisco and place an order for pre-portioned fillets or T-bones and that. It's a hell of a lot cheaper to get the whole piece of beef and do the work yourself. Just saying. I'm just saying.
And cutting your thickness and
Exactly. Exactly. And then, people walk away and feel like, man, I've never had a ribeye like that before. Because it was cut to a certain thickness, because it was cut in a certain way. Like, it's tasteable. Anyway, you know it. I know it. I'm not going to try to twist you. So, all these things considered, the love story back to 99 to today with the restaurant, with the lounge, with the outside patio, which is amazing, people. Really, really amazing. Talk to me about the next 5 years. What do they look like?
We're in the next level. We're looking at expanding possibly a food truck.
Yeah.
We bought a food truck. I'm renovating it from the ground up. So we're looking to do some like wineries and stuff like that. We're actually looking to put it on our own property for outside when we do some bigger bands and stuff.
And guess what we be serving?
Prime rib cheesesteaks.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah. So that's a problem. That's amazing. And the food. It's so funny you say food truck. That's so awesome. Back year one of the show, food trucks were blowing up. I had several food trucks in like the first, 20, 30 episodes, right? And then food trucks kind of faded back. They kind of eased up. COVID hit, and I feel like the food truck frenzy is back on. So talk about a time to strike. I think y'all are doing that at the right time. I only ask that maybe I get to put a guest shift in sometime on your food truck. I will gladly guest cook.
That'd be great.
We're looking to change up some things inside the kitchen a little bit. We have some new things in store for the way we cook some things.
Okay.
So we are reinvesting into some stuff. We're reinvesting into the staff. We have some new people coming on board to help out. You can never have enough help. We feel that the more staff we have, the better the service will be. So we're always looking at it. We're not afraid to put the time, the effort, or the finances back into something that we got people driving from Delaware, Scranton, Philadelphia, New York, New Jersey. We had people from LA here.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic.
It's unique. When we ask the card people, it's not just to card their IDs, it's to see where the demographics are coming from and where people are. I'd probably say 75% of our customers are from out of town.
Mm-hmm.
Lewisburg, Millville, Mifflinburg.
We just want them to realize it's not your everyday chain restaurants, because us as a couple, when we get that one day off, we kind of just wander off to where it's more of a home mom and pop kind of place. We're looking for that. We're not into chain restaurants. Not that I'm bashing them, but it's just,
we're looking for something to make us want us to hang out there. So we're looking for our next hangout. And a lot of our hangouts that we've grown over our relationship have closed up or went out of business.
Yeah.
And the reason it's great to go out and look at other people's menu and get ideas and see what makes them tick and what
I just like being waited on.
Yeah. Well, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you after doing that the rest of your damn week? Hey, man, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, lots of growth, lots to come. Folks, again, I can't say it enough. Jamison City Hotel out on 184 Jamison City Road in Benton, 17814. Obviously the best of luck, but I'll be in before any of that happens, and we can talk more shop as I stuff my fat face with another cheesesteak. So
make sure everybody's out on our website.
Absolutely. I know they will. So with the 5-year plan, in the rear view. Let's hit the afters real quick before I let you go. I'm standing in your kitchen, cooking with the two of you. What music am I listening to?
That's hard because we have some fantastic bands, and that's usually what gets me through the weekend.
Yeah,
nice.
We've listened to everything from country to rock to oldies to classics to, like, our bands are definitely unique. We listen to all different styles, and it reaches out to everybody.
Yeah. No, for sure. And you know, I have to imagine, like, how cool is that to have just that music streaming in from outside. And again, I can't tell you how warming a presence that was to open the car door and to just hear that and to roll in there. Like, amazing. So, I mean, you've got that benefit of having your own damn band in the backyard going nuts. Next question in the afters, and I'm going to ask each of you individually here. I'm going to strand you on a deserted island, independent of one another. I know, I'm sorry, but it's cruel, but we have to do it this way. It just has to be done. You can only bring 3 foods or food-type items with you, condiments, equipment, whatever. Inexhaustible supply through the magic of imagination, but only 3 things you can bring to that island with you. What would they be and why? Go ahead, Andy.
Beer.
Oh, I love that.
One is beer,
Yep.
meatloaf, and bread.
Love it.
Classic meatloaf sandwich.
I love it, man. You don't have to get complex on me. That's fantastic. How about you, Jody?
I don't really have, like, any favorites, do I?
Turkey is your crutch.
Yeah, turkey and stuffing, I'd be set, probably.
Turkey stuffing and beer. I love it. These are my kind of people here, kids. So now I'm going to ask the two of you to compose this answer together. I don't know that I've ever done a couple's answer in 167 episodes, so this might be something. Melanie Denea put out 2 books, My Last Supper and The Next Course. Both of them are coffee table books, photography heavy, of 50 world-famous chefs each. All ask the same question. Your ticket's getting punched tomorrow. What's your last meal? And why? And so I asked the two of you, tickets getting punched tomorrow. What's your last meal? What are you eating? What are you drinking? What music's playing? And who's there?
I wouldn't be too concerned about eating. I'd take a walk on the beach with my wife.
I can't even do anything with that, man. I can't go anywhere near that, man.
I dig right now.
2 years ago, we went to Myrtle Beach, and we walked on the beach, and it was the greatest thing I've done. And it made me to the point where I want to find a house down there.
Nice. Wow.
I can spend every night walking on the beach with them.
Walk on the beach, and that's it. I love it. Jody, are you in agreement with that plan?
I mean, it sounds good, but I don't know if I want to be
Connecticut walk on the beach. With that, too.
But I don't know. I love my family, too, so I have to be around my kids a lot, too. So.
Yeah. But I love that, man. There's a true professional. Forget the Last Supper. I just want to...
Our kids come first.
Oh, man.
Everything we've done is all about our kids. That's the reason why we push so hard.
Exquisite. Absolutely exquisite. And I feel that. I feel that. Dad of 3 over here myself. I feel that. Last question, Andy, Jody, and I'll ask each of you individually here. Last question, the simplest but the most complex. What is food to you in a single word? Jody.
I would say, love.
God, they answered the same answer. What is going on over there? Did they I feel like you crafted each other in a lab and got each other just so. Cause that's too weird. But that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And, the love is felt for sure.
Working together, hand in hand, and people never understood it. And we plan on spending the rest of our lives working together.
I don't know what I could possibly add to that except to say thank you. And I mean this. I'm, dropping the host persona for a minute. Thank you for representing the restaurant industry and truly, and I mean this from the bottom of my soul, in one of the most beautiful, honest, pure ways I've experienced in a long time. Going there, going to the Jamison City Hotel, and just experiencing the ambiance. It truly was. I don't go around hugging random people, Jody. I want you to understand that. But it just, the moment so encompassed me it was like a motherly hug of food. I can't explain it any better. And the environment and the people, folks, you need to go there. You will not be disappointed. 184 Jamison City Road, Benton, PA 17814. Call 570-925-5084 for more details. Check them out. Jamison City Hotel on Facebook, as well as JamisonCityHotel.com. God, Andy, Jody Boyle, my thanks are yours in multitude. Thank you so much for taking time out of what I know is a busy schedule to be here and to talk with me tonight.
Thank you.
You got it. Ladies,
we made a new friendship.
That's right. See, that's the beauty of the show, man. And now when I come out, and I'm going to come out, typically I ask for your address off air, and I mail you a shirt. I'm going to come in person and bring you a damn shirt, if not a trucker cap, and we can talk offline which one you like, and we'll go from there. So, you know, that's the best part of my job, is to make friends with truly some talented ass individuals, and those individuals are you. Yes, I am going to try that.
High fives all the way around, I'm telling you.
That's right. I am going to give it a go. So thanks again, guys.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode number 168 of the Coarse Grind Podcast. With me again this evening, the wonder couple of the restaurant industry, locally here in Benton, PA, Andy and Jody Boyle of the Jamison City Hotel. Be sure to check them out at 184 Jamison City Road, Benton, Pennsylvania, 17814. Call 570-925-5084 for more details, and check them out on the digital interwebs at JamisonCityHotel.com, as well as Jamison City Hotel on Facebook. Our producer, as always this evening, has been the lovely, voluptuous Johnny Leland Robinson, a.k.a. the Reverend Johnny Lamoria. Be sure to check out the reboot of his amazing Johnny Lamoria show. Next episode is going to be number 169. You will not want to miss it. Stay tuned. Are you passing through central Pennsylvania and looking for one of the best dining experiences and craft brew menus around? Look no further. Turkey Hill Brewing Company and 991 Central Road in Bloomsburg, PA has everything you could ask for and then some. Service, food, beer together. Unbelievable. Be sure to check them out. Call them today for reservations. 570-387-8422. Call today.